Hi, I am live and I'm here to answer your questions. Um, I can't always come on at uh, noon Central on Tuesdays, but I do try. Um, I am in the middle of a big project. And so right this second, I did not have time to go ahead and get questions from askdanakWhite.com. But if you are asking questions, if you have questions to ask, and this is not live at the time, feel free to go there and I answer those on podcasts and here and places like that. Um, and, uh, but I will take questions from those of you who are watching live today. I do want to let you know that, oh, did I move it? Did I move? Oh, here we go. Here we go. I do want to let you know, speaking of getting your questions answered. So a lot of you know that I make sure you can hear me. Okay. Yeah, you can hear me. Thank you. Thanks. Uh, a lot of you know that I train and certify decluttering coaches. I know we've often got several that are watching during this time, and they're very helpful. And one of the things that I've done this is the third year that I've done this, is for those of my coaches who are certified, which means they have gone through my training, they know how to lead people through my process, they are available to work for you. This is their thing. One of the things I do is I offer it's they have the opportunity to part of being a certified coach is they have the rights to teach a curriculum of 6-week class based on Decluttering at the Speed of Life, my book that has sold like over 500,000 copies, right? So that they teach this 6-week class, and they can do that whenever they want to. They can charge whatever they want to, as long as they're certified coaches. But for this February, starting like beginning of February, going to mid-March, I ask them, would you be willing to teach the class for $50? Okay, so they may charge more than that at other times, but these coaches are willing to teach the class for $50. And so what it is you sign up with one coach. If you go to declutteringcoaches.com/class, then, okay, if you can't hear me, I think well, you wouldn't be able to hear me saying this, but I was going to say it's your problem. Like, you need to probably refresh your thing or whatever, because other people are able to hear. Anyway, declutteringcoaches.com/class is going to have listed the 18 coaches who are all teaching this class. Okay. They are teaching their own. There's going to be 18 different workshops going on over the next 6 weeks. You sign up for one of those workshops. So look through the times, see which ones work for you. There is actually one in German. So I know I hear from people a lot who want German translations for their relatives. And so that might be something you could send people, to take the class to learn these concepts in German from one of our coaches who's in Germany. But these are all online, and you pick one coach at a time who's offering a class at a time that works for you. And then you go to that class with that coach for 6 weeks at that time. And it is a live class. So what's different than lots of the things I do? Well, I pre-record things. This is live here, but you're kind of just, there may be 500 people watching. There's only 145 right now, but like generally there's around 500. And so you might get your question answered, you might not. It's all kind of all random. These coaches are going to lead you through the curriculum, and you're going to have class discussions, like actual discussions. You don't have to be on camera if you don't want to. You don't have to participate in the discussion, but that is part of that learning experience, is that actual class setting. And you'll have an instructor who you're able to talk to about your stuff. So anyway, declutteringcoaches.com/class has the listings of the coaches who are offering this 6-week class for the special rate of $50. Most of them start beginning of February. I think one might start like January 30th or 31st, but go check that out. I love my coaches. They are amazing. I love that they are out there and they are there to help guide you through your unique situation. So using my process. All right. Let's get some questions. If you have a question, I would love for you to put 3 question marks, 2 question marks, whatever, at the beginning, more than one, at the beginning of your question, not at the end, because they just kind of go down the side of my screen, and that helps me notice that that's a question that somebody wants answered. Thought I just clicked yes, $50 for the whole 6-week class. Okay, so it's an amazing deal that these coaches are doing. Like I said, they can offer the coach other times whenever they want. I mean, they can also offer the class as long as they're certified. They can teach it, but this is a way to do that. Okay, let's see. Going to start working in a clinic soon. Scrubs are allowed, but not necessary every day. Does it make sense to declutter professional clothes such as slacks because I won't need them as much? I believe it always makes sense to declutter because when you're using my 5-step process, you are not going into it with the math already done for you, right? You're not going in saying, oh, scrubs are allowed, but they're not required every day. So let's say 3 out of 5 days I'm going to wear scrubs, and then this day blah blah blah, because that's the kind of thing that can make you think, oh, it's time to start decluttering my other stuff, and then you walk in there and you're just like, oh wait, what I don't know yet. Here's what I would say. Yes, it probably does make sense, but before you start doing any math related to this, just go ahead and go in your closet and go through the 5-step process with your closet, your clothes. Meaning, is there any trash? I know people like clothes can't be trash. Yes, they can. And don't ask me why I sometimes put something that is torn or stained or whatever, like I'll wash it and put it back on a hanger. I'm not going to ask why, right? That's what I ask why, because I just do stuff like that sometimes. But taking that purposeful moment to say, is there anything here that's trash? Is there anything here that doesn't belong here? Maybe you have some of your, my husband's stuff occasionally ends up in my closet, and it's a time for me to get that stuff out of there. It might be, oh, okay, here's some of the things that belong in some other place, whatever. Are there any obvious donations? Before you start trying to predict the future, just see if there's stuff that needs to be out of there anyway, no matter what the situation, because that purposeful looking is so incredibly powerful and always reveals things that maybe before you just never noticed. What was I? Oh, I know. I'm sure I'll tell this somewhere else too, but like my daughter, she left for college to go back to school last week. And it was like 3 days later, and I see her best pair of tennis shoes, like in a pile of other shoes that had kind of been knocked into this corner. I just see them and I'm like, I have walked by these every day. I walked by them in the days of us going, okay, make sure what is it thought you need to remember, blah, 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 getting her packed. I walked by him for 3 days after that. I walked by it in the morning that we took her to the airport. Like all of these things. And yet somehow I didn't see it until I was purposefully looking. I was like, hey, I'm going to pick up these. Oh my goodness, there's her shoes, right? So that purposeful looking always reveals things. So go ahead through the process and then work your way through with the, what, if I needed this item, where would I look for it first? Getting things into their spots, and then purging down to the limits of the space that you have, with the knowledge in mind that you're not going to need as many professional slacks. And I think that for people like me tends to be more productive than going in with a I do or don't need this. Instead, I'm going to say, okay, this is the space that I have with the knowledge that I have going into this. That means I'm going to give more space to scrubs and less space to slacks. All right, let's see. I just want to know how to organize my nail stuff. I like to do my nails at home with dip powder and nail tips, and I have all the supplies. How do I better organize this? So I actually don't teach organizing. I only teach decluttering, but I teach it as the thing. Decluttering is the thing that achieved what I always wanted from organizing. Okay. And I know if you're new here, welcome, but and that might be a little bit like, what is she saying? Decluttering and organizing are not the same thing. I realized that all the time when I wanted to get organized, what I wanted to do was be able to find what I needed, access what I needed, be able to put it back, and it not to take over my home, right? And so what I actually needed to do all along was to declutter. That's actually what that was my thing. So what I would give you, I mean, like, obviously there are so many amazing people out there who give you fantastic organizing ideas for nail polish. I'm not that person, but I will tell you, how would you go about decluttering with the goal of getting it to where it's under control? So what I would say is first go through my 5-step process. If you don't know it, it's in Decluttering at the Speed of Life, my book. Also, I mean, I have it here all over the channel, and you can get a printable at slobcomesclean.com/5, F-I-V-E. Okay. But I would go through what you have just to reduce down and get out anything that doesn't need to be there. Trash, like things that are ruined or dried up or whatever. Then you go on, and I know you just said dip, and yeah, I'm not a nail person. These are press-ons. Anyway, then go through the steps. Like, is there any in here that when I take a moment to say, are there any obvious donations out of this? I get those out, because what you don't want to do is start with the idea of organizing, come up with an elaborate system, and then you've come up with an elaborate system for this much stuff, when in reality, you don't even want that much stuff. What you actually needed to organize was this much stuff. Okay. And so it's really, you have to declutter first. Even the organizing people will tell you, you have to declutter first. So do that. And then go with the, where would I look first for my nail supplies? And then I let that space, the size of that space where I would look for it first, where I can devote that space to it, where it doesn't take up the room that I need for other things that I, have to have more than this. I let that size of that space determine how much of these things I can have. And then I put the most important pieces in there first. Like, it would be your supplies that get used every single time. Okay, those go in there. And then with whatever left space that you have, then you put in the different colors, putting your favorite ones in first until it's full. Okay. Is there more than one video in 6 weeks? Yes. So I was sharing about the 6-week class that my decluttering coaches are offering. It's at declutteringcoaches.com. These are live classes. They are live. Okay. So they are not pre-recorded videos for you to watch whenever. They are live classes that go for 6 weeks. And so each week you will meet at a specific time with your class, instructed by your coach who's leading you through the strategies in decluttering at the speed of life. Okay. So that's the difference between like an online course and an actual class that you're attending at a certain time, which is great that I have 18 coaches who are running this class starting in, I don't know, about 10, 11 days from now. Right. So they're going to do this class. So you look and you say, oh, here's one and I'm just making this up. Here's one on Thursday nights at 6:00. Okay, that's the one I can do. I'm going to, sign up with this coach. All the coaches, they're handling their own payment systems, their own sign-up systems. I am just letting you know that all 18 of these coaches have agreed to teach this class for $50, which is generally less than they would teach it for at other times. Okay, let's see. Yay! I decluttered craft, sewing, storage room, 6 large tubs of Christmas decor gone. I love it. It makes me happy. Company arriving Monday for a week. We barely made a dent during the all-day declutter. Need help. Okay, just in case y'all don't know what the all-day declutter is, she's referring to something we did in the Take Your House Back course last weekend. I have had a couple of comments, and this happens every single time, on videos where I had mentioned the all day declutter, of people saying, oh my goodness, I just clicked on the link and it's $600. And I'm like, that's why I always say only buy it when it's on sale. And it's not on sale anymore. But it'll be on sale again. The best way to know when a sale happens is to sign up for my newsletter at aslobcomesclean.com/5. And then you also get the printable of the 5-step process. Okay. Company arriving Monday for a week. We barely made it in. All right. So what I'm going to recommend here, instead of giving you what I would do here, I have a series of 14 videos that came out probably in November of 2021. And they are 14 days to getting your home ready for guests. Yours are coming on Monday, which is basically 6 days from now, right? It's the concept, okay? Like, it can be shrunk down, whatever. It's all about accepting the reality of the time that you have plus what needs to be done, and focusing in on what they are going to see, where you're going to spend the most time. That deserves the most effort. Okay. But yeah, I recommend that there's a playlist on my channel. I think if you just click on my name here, you should look down at playlists, and there's going to be a playlist of those 14 videos, which will help you through that. Okay. Let's see. How do you measure for containers that go into a high closet shelf where you must put it in at an upward angle and the closet door frame at the top is much lower than the space inside? Okay, this sounds like a very organizing question. And as you know, I'm a decluttering person. So I'm just going to kind of off the top of my head think about this. What I would say on that is to really prioritize function. Okay, because it sounds like put it at an upward angle, the closet door frame is higher and lower. It sounds like this is, some of y'all are going to be like, no, that's not what she's talking about. I can't visualize what you're talking about. I'm just saying, like, prioritize function, which means you may not make the most of this space. If a space is really difficult to get into, I am a big fan of just not using that space for any storage at all. If it is a space that is too difficult. If it is a unique thing where you're like, I know there's a way to do this. I mean, the Container Store is great at having, solutions for that and actually going in and talking to the people there. But I would say, from my perspective, anything that's going to go into a space that's going to be really difficult to get things in and out of, the only things that I would put in that space are things that I'm only going to need on a very rare occasion. And that rare occasion needs to be a time when I'm not going to need that stuff in a hurry. Okay. So I have a closet in my office, and I have some bedding things out there just in case, because we thought at one point we were going to have guests stay out in my office, and we didn't. But I have the bedding things because I have like a couch that turns into a bed. And so that stuff is out there. It makes sense for that stuff to be out there, but it's on the high shelf, because the only time I would ever need that is when I have a very purposeful time of, I'm going to carry a ladder out there and I am going to carefully get those things down. And so anything that needs to be accessed regularly, I definitely would not put in a space like this. 6. Oh, okay. I think I already read that one. Let's see. What do I do with my son's prom pictures? He's married to the girl of his dreams and has a 2-year-old baby, but the pictures are with girls that were not serious girlfriends. I mean, you could ask him. I mean, I know different people feel differently about this kind of stuff, but to me, people you went to prom with are just like fun memories, right? Like, it's not a jealous. It's very different than like a former fiance or something like that. So I would ask him, or his wife, how they feel about it, or, but definitely anytime with photos, if there are 6 copies of something, well, you can definitely get it down to 1 copy, right? And then you go with, this is the space that I have, and this is the space I have for photos. And if I need to get rid of some, then these might be the ones that I could get rid of, right? Like if the space is full of meaningful pictures of meaningful people who are still in our lives and who are, big important part of our lives, then maybe that, edges that one out. Okay. Let's see. What is the best way to declutter books? Well, you just want to get into the thing that gets people all worked up, don't you? Okay, so the first step is to look for trash. And I know you're like, books can't be trash. Maybe they aren't, but there might be trash shoved in that bookshelf. So look through, because what happens when you look and you look for trash is you start to see what you're actually dealing with. Before, it's a category of items that is always, it feels important. And so it's like books, good. Can't possibly declutter books. But the reality is, if I have so many books that I can't get dressed in the morning easily, I can't cook my dinner because every cabinet is full of books and every shelf is full of books and the reality is reality, right? So you look for trash, and maybe there's some other things in this space that can go that's trash. And then you keep on working through the process. And ultimately, you're going to come to step 5, which step 5 is embrace the reality of the space. That means that the first part of step 5 is to consolidate. That means put like items together. So at that point, you're going to, put the books that are in a series together. And if you are like, oh, here's another book from that series, and you realize, oh, I've got 2 of the same book, then which one is your less favorite or least important, and you get rid of that one. So you go through that process because it's non-emotional. It's not putting it in piles. It's literally taking a book from here and going and putting it up next to another book. Now, this is after you've gotten rid of all the obvious donations, because you're going to find obvious donations when you look for that. So as you do this, you're probably going to get rid of more, partly because you're going to be like, okay, this book, this is a book about the Old West or something. So I'll put it next to this old book. And just picking it up on purpose and paying attention to what the book is may reveal it as, oh, I'm not going to read that again, or I didn't even like that book, or whatever. Okay. So you're going to get rid of some. And then once you have it down to just the books that you would actually go looking for here, then you're going to have to embrace the reality of the space, which means if there's more than will fit in this space functionally, then there's no hope of it ever being under control. And if your goal is for it to be under control, then get rid of your least favorites until it fits functionally in this space. It doesn't mean they're not a favorite. It doesn't mean you don't love them. It doesn't mean you don't value them. It just means the size of the space is the size of the space. Yay. I love this. Thank you. I get it now. I just finished Decluttering at the Speed of Life and loved it. Makes me so happy. The Decluttering Coaches classes that are at declutteringcoaches.com/class. These are my certified Speed of Life decluttering coaches who are trained to take you through a 6-week class where Decluttering at the Speed of Life, my book, is the textbook for that. Somebody's asking, how long are the classes? They are between 60 and 90 minutes. Let's see. And they're live classes. So look for the time that works best for you, and you'll meet each week for 6 weeks during that time. And you pick one coach, one class. I mean, you could go to multiple coaches' classes, but you'd be paying each of them $50. Okay. Love hearing about your project brain. Would cleaning the backyard, picking up leaves, pulling out weeds, and trimming overgrown plants best be seen as a project or a task every month or season? I am not great at this stuff. But what I know is I don't think it's a project. I think it's one of those things I default to treating like a project, and that's not a good thing. Same way dishes, laundry, all that kind of stuff should not be thought of as a project. Little by little, it is much, much, much more effective. And I think all our actual gardeners here would tell you that. Let's see. Okay, somebody else asking about the coaches class that they are offering at declutteringcoaches.com/class. Declutteringcoaches.com is my website. So it is not just, oh, everybody who's a declutter. No, it's like my actual website of people trained and certified by me. So also on that site, you're going to see if you click on the find a coach, you're going to see a map feature where you can see if there are coaches in your area who can help you in person. If there are not coaches in your area, there are also, most of my coaches also coach virtually online, which is what I do here in the 1 Hour Betters, a lot of them. And so you see how effective that is. And it's amazing the progress that people make through the virtual coaching. So declutteringcoaches.com/class gets you to the list of the 18 coaches who are offering the class and what times they're offering those classes. So you can find out which one works for you. Let's see. Oh, already answered that. Okay, let's see. Toys fit and functions and have a place, but it still seems overwhelming to kids to have as many categories as they do, fewer categories, or pare down within each bin. That's a good question. Definitely, if they're still overwhelmed, they're still over their clutter threshold. Remember that you measure the clutter threshold by, are we able on a regular day to get this space back under control in 5 minutes? Okay. I think that's up to you. I would say just in general, go through the decluttering process first in their room or their space where the toys are, and look for trash. See if there's, because you might find out that there's trash in some of these bins, and that's going to naturally reduce things. Look for easy stuff that somehow drifted in here that actually belongs somewhere else. Look for obvious donations, because you might be able to get out quite a bit that way, and then play with that and find out. Let's see. I have a weird fear that if I keep decluttering only my own stuff and neutral, that other people in my household will just keep filling the spaces with their own new things and I'll be stuck. Help. Okay, couple of things here. That may happen. I know that is a frustration that people face for sure. But it sounds like that's keeping you from getting started. Okay. I am very familiar with the amazing skill that so many of us have to predict how things are going to go and what's going to happen, and all the things that could go wrong or right or whatever. Like, we can think through that kind of stuff. What I would say is, if you're really decluttering, getting everything that you get out of your house makes your house a little bit easier to manage. Okay. So I would not worry about this first. I would go ahead and do this. It is something you might run into. Remember that the 5-minute pickup is the key to maintaining decluttering success. That 5-minute pickup, which ideally you're going to do with the people in your house. But if you're in a situation where you're not necessarily any kind of authority over the people in your house, well, then you'll just do it yourself, because it's always going to be beneficial. Focus in those areas to keep those spaces decluttered, because usually the fill it back up is a matter of things drifting there or getting randomly set down. The 5-minute pickup is the antidote to the tendency to just randomly set things down. I say this as the person who tends to randomly set things down. And so I had to come up with an antidote. The 5-minute pickup is the antidote to that. Okay. So working on that 5-minute pickup to do that, to give them time to start to adjust, because it will be like, oh, that's an empty space, and things just randomly set there. Okay. But you maintain that, and then over time. And I would not declutter because you're afraid of what's going to happen. Because the reality is, even though, yes, other things may drift there, you're going to deal with that with 5-minute pickup. But even though that happens, just having less stuff in your house, period, it makes your house easier to manage. It just does. Okay. I have decluttered most of my own stuff, common areas, but my house is still full of bins and items that belong to teens, husband. The bins are preventing access to certain items, areas. What can I do? So what I would do in this situation is to work on clearing out some spaces where these, because you're specifically saying bins and some spaces where these things can go. Okay. So meaning, you know, the closet here, you know, I know for me, when my house was completely out of control, I had a lot of things that I had at some point long ago in the future, probably when we moved into the house, I had, you know, set up, this is going to be my whatever cabinet. Well, then there were just things that didn't have a place to live and they ended up floating all over the place. And I was like, I got to give these things a place to live. And so I would go look in the cabinet where I was like, if these things were actually put away, where would I look for them first? Okay, here. And I look in that cabinet and there's something in there that has been in there for 10 years. Maybe it's like a hobby I used to do or a hobby I thought I was going to do. And then I never ended up doing. So getting rid of some of that to give space for these items. And then, you know, especially with your teens, say, okay, we're going to take, I've cleared out this space. Now let's put your most important items in there first, but the space is the space. So, you know, once it's full, then we'll have to get rid of the rest, like to work through that with them, but you've actually provided a space for those things to go into. It's not easy. I am not saying, oh, just do this and it'll be fine and everybody will be happy. No, it's a definite like long game and all that. Let's see. I just wanted to thank you so much for your sessions from Take Your House Back this weekend, made a cluttered room into a real, actual, beautiful space I can finally use and be proud of. Oh, that makes me happy. Do you want to say, don't buy Take Your House Back right now. Wait till it comes back on sale here in a few months. Because I know some people have like recently commented and said, I clicked over and I was like, what? It's so expensive. That's why I always say don't buy it unless it's on sale, but you got to buy it when it's on sale. But yeah, that was really fun. But remember too, like, the things I teach there are the same things I teach here. So for those of you who didn't get to do that, watch the things that we do here and give it a shot in your home. Let's see. Oh, I love this one. Okay. I want to say thank you, Dana. Yesterday, I was able to spend 10 minutes in one space and 15 minutes in another area, leaving no mess behind by taking care of things as I went along. That's what it's all about. That makes me so happy. It really, really is possible. I love it. Let's see. Hi, Dana. Love from India. Can you please continue making your decluttering, organizing videos on YouTube? Because I'm from India, cannot have access to your book. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any intention of stopping YouTube, so we're good. Let's see. The container concept was the turning point for me with books, and it was hard, but it feels so good now. I love that. Thank you for encouraging one another in that. I think it's really helpful to not just hear it from me. Yeah, let's see. I treat books now, like Dana said, to treat tote bags. They came into my life, they go out. Down from 35 plus boxes of books. I love it. Yeah, I mean, I think that I have a video, I don't know, it's been a while ago, about like letting things flow through your life, like realizing there are things that are not supposed to live forever in your house, because there's always going to be new ones coming in. And yeah, let's see. Okay, could you please consider posting the upcoming dates for the Take Your House Back sale? I cannot. I am not in charge of the admin side of that, so I cannot do that. But generally, it will go on sale sometime in April, sometime in maybe late August, September, and sometime in like from Black Friday on Thanksgiving through whenever we do the all-day declutter in January. Those are the general times. The best thing you can do is sign up for my newsletter. So, which is at aslobcomesclean.com/5, F-I-V-E. You're going to get the copy of my 5-step printable when you go there. But I try so hard to let y'all know the best way is the newsletter. Let's see. Have you ever had a time you had to insist on someone else decluttering, specifically an aging parent? I mean, yeah, I mean, I cleaned out my in-laws' home when they had to move, and I mean, they were ready at that point for sure. We had also done a big decluttering, before. Um, and here's what I'll say on this. I do not find it effective to argue with someone about decluttering. Instead, I want to help you with decluttering. And my 5-step process works really well when helping someone with decluttering because it respects them, but also faces the actual reality of the space. Talking about facing the reality of the space, there was one more thing I want to make sure y'all remember, which is that my new children's book comes out in less than a month. February 17th, it comes out. So slobcomesclean.com/Winnie, WINNIE. It's Winnie's Pile of Pillows. And you can pre-order your copy and pre-order your copy and then go and claim your pre-order bonuses. So you only get pre-order bonuses by going to slobcomesclean.com/Winnie. That's where you get it. But look how cute that book is. Y'all, it is, if I do say so myself, I think it's the cutest book I've ever seen in my whole life. I mean, it is like my book, which basically feels like your baby, but I love that thing. Anyway, I'm so proud of it. Okay. I love this. As each time I watch a Q&A, I come up with a question. As I begin to phrase the question to Dana, I realize you already know the answer because you have read the books, the blog, and all of that. I love that so much. Saying, I've listened to the podcasts and videos. I know the principles. I have the knowledge. Just do the 5 steps always. Thank you for teaching me. That makes me happy. That makes me happy. Okay. I think I've answered. If you have a question that I haven't answered, go ahead and ask it again with 3 question marks because I don't ever purposely not answer a question. I just may not have seen it. But while we're waiting for a couple more questions, let me just remind you about here it is. The class that my decluttering coaches have agreed to offer for $50 is a 6-week live class. So it's certain time in the week and you show up each week on Zoom with that instructor. They handle the registration. They handle the payments. It doesn't go through me. I'm just advertising it because I want y'all to know about the coaches. And this is such a great opportunity to do a live interactive thing where you can have discussion with other class members. You can ask your instructor for your personal questions, that kind of stuff. Let's see. Love you, Dana. Thank you. Getting the book for my kids ages 5, 3, and 1. Does clutter threshold determine how many homes you may have for an item? Do you mean I'm assuming you mean keeping a pair of scissors in 3 different places or whatever. I do think that, yes, it can absolutely, it always determines how much, if you're over your clutter threshold, you need to have less stuff, right? What I would not do is go into an item that might be in multiple different places with the idea of, okay, here's an item. Let me think of how many different places I can keep this. Instead, I would go with if I needed this item, if I needed a pair of scissors, where would I look first for a pair of scissors? Okay. And then you take it to that spot. If you're like, well, I would look for a pair of scissors. If I was in the kitchen and I was looking for a pair of scissors, I would look here. If I was in the craft room and I was looking for a pair of scissors, I would look here. If I was in the garage, then that might be where you have that. But I would use that question, if I needed this item, where would I look for it first, to determine that, as opposed to, because, and I say this as someone who has that tendency, and I know a lot of us have that tendency to be like, what's a good place for this thing? Oh, all these different places are good places. Oh, it's a thing I could maybe have, and then you end up in this situation where it's out of control and you are over your clutter threshold. Ideas for recycling clothes, please. The best thing I would advise is that you call or go by, just be careful you don't overshop, right? But your local thrift stores and ask them, because a lot of local thrift stores do have a deal where they recycle clothing with rag makers. And I know this because I was at a women's event one time, and there was a thrift store, a charity thrift store that was there, and they were kind of sharing what they do. And she specifically said, please donate stained but clean. They want things clean, right? But if you have stained or torn clothing, please donate it. She actually said that. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? She said, because they sell it by the pound to these rag makers. And so what I would recommend is that you do that. I know there are sometimes little boxes around town. Here's what I would do, honestly. I would ask your local friends, okay? Or if you're on social media with local people, connected with you there, hey, anybody know where to recycle clothing? Because there are just people who know this kind of stuff. And then there are people like me who are like, I've heard of that. I don't really know how to do it. But once you know, then you'll be able to get that stuff out of the house, right? But it's hard for me to say in my little town in Texas, one thing, because if you live in New York City, or you live in Montana, or you live in Kansas, whatever, you've got some very different situation than what I have. Because I know for sure not everybody has the same stuff. Let's see. I've found that after going through the steps, they have become automatic. I love it. I find myself doing something and then realizing I'm following the steps. Thank you, Dana. I love that. That's awesome. Enjoying your content. Have you ever come across an impossible decluttering item? I wouldn't say impossible, but I have definitely had moments, especially early on, where I would run across something, probably still do sometimes. And I would just be like, no, I can't do this. I know I don't need it. I don't know, blah, blah. I just can't do it. My advice on that is to skip that item. Don't let that stop you in your tracks. Don't let one item, which is the beauty of the progress and only progress, no miss decluttering process, because I can skip that item, move to the next one. Okay, where would I look for this first if I needed it? And then keep on going with that. So many times what ends up happening with those impossible items is that I make this, because I don't let it stop me in my tracks and I skip it and move to the next thing and just keep going, then I make such a difference in this space. It becomes usable, it becomes functional. And the next time I come back to declutter this space, or even sometimes just a random day when I'm using this space, I'm like, oh my goodness, this thing that used to be impossible, it can go, right? But also any little thing, anything sentimental, anything highly valuable, anything like that, I'm going to use my question. If I needed this item, where would I look for it first? And that is where it's going to live. There is no item that has like a different decluttering strategy. Instead, it's, if I needed this item, where would I look for it first? Whether it's something that I'm like, I shouldn't be so sentimentally attached to this, but I am. Okay, if I needed this item, where would I look for it first? And then I reveal to myself, oh, I would never go looking for it. So even though it's hard, even though I can't imagine getting rid of it, that helps me get rid of it because I'm using that process. Okay. How do you speed declutter with so much stuff and a very close deadline to do it by? Trash bag and donate box. Big trash bag, big donate box. The fastest way to declutter is to stick stuff in the trash and the donate box. Okay? Trash stuff goes in the trash. Usable stuff that can be donated goes in the donate box. This mindset of, I need to declutter. I'm going to do the easiest possible thing to declutter, because If I'm asking myself, where would I look for this first? And I'm taking it there now, that does take more time. But also, if I'm just making piles of things because, oh, I want to keep this, well, then I'm not actually getting stuff out of my house. And then I've got all this other stuff to do and I'm not making the progress that I desperately need to make. So trash and donate, go hard on trash and donate, and you'll be amazed at the momentum that you will gain. Let's see. Please tell your son I love his added written comments on your videos. Oh, he knows. He knows. He's very like, oh, mom, people love me. So she's very lovable and adorable. Let's see. I'm getting to the point where my visible spaces are good, but now I'm filling more and more donate boxes. And if I don't go to Goodwill, the boxes themselves become a frustrating eyesore. Advice? Yes. Take them to Goodwill. I know that sounds like, well, I want different advice than that. No, I mean, like, remember that hauling things to the donation center is a valuable use. What is that? Oh, it's like, what is that back there? It's one of those thingies for dog hair. Is a valuable use of your decluttering time and energy. Okay. They become a frustrating eyesore. It is not fun to load up your car. It is not fun to drive across town, or for me, sometimes drive 30 minutes away. Okay. Like, it is not fun. However, once you've done that, that eyesore is gone. And that's a huge decluttering win in one swoop. Living in an in-between situation and living with my dad until I get back on my feet. Any advice for how to keep my boxes of stuff, kitchen tools, etc., from encroaching on the limited space? Yes. View the limited space as a container. View it at, you just said it's a limited space. So it's going to determine what stays and what goes. Okay. And you let it remain that, and then you're going to have storage space, right? Like, this is the stuff I'm not even going to open in the time that I'm here, because it's only the things that he already has and we don't need mine. Okay. So we're going to leave that here. All right. And then this, and you really zero in on the container concept in all those spaces. What do you do if you get behind on laundry day due to travel or whatever? Power through to get back to zero. Pace yourself. Power through to get back to zero. I mean, do whatever you have to do if you don't have the energy to get back to zero, but that's my advice. Is this, I'm assuming you mean, do I still blog on my webpage? I really don't very often. I do share things that other people have sent to me, but no, my focus is on book writing, and I still do the podcast and the videos, obviously, at this point. Do you have study materials for Jesus Doesn't Care About Your Messy House? I want to lead a Bible study through that book. Should I write the guide myself? No. Yes, I do. I have a discussion guide. If you go to aslobcomesclean.com/Jesus, I believe that's where it is. But yeah, you can go there and get the discussion guide there. Let's see. I'm still just so frustrated by my daughter's room and can't seem to get hubby on board to help her. I walk in there and just instant overwhelm. Anything we do is totally temporary. Yeah, it's not always, it can be really, really hard. What I would say is use my process. Make sure that you're not, what I used to do before I had developed my decluttering process that actually works, I used to think I was decluttering. And what I was doing is I was going into a space and I was pulling everything out, or I was making all these piles. I was sorting all this stuff. And it felt like that was what I was supposed to do, because honestly, that's what a lot of people tell you to do, right? But as someone, I was the daughter, right? Like, as someone who struggled so much, that never helped me, because things were not, because I would get overwhelmed in that process, shut down, and I never actually made progress. Or my mom would come in and we'd put things in all these elaborate systems, and okay, we're going to keep everything here. And that's because it feels like, well, then I'm not going to have the arguments over what to stay and what to go and all that. And my way doesn't have the arguments either. Right. But because of that, it was just more stuff than I could handle. It was so far over my clutter threshold. So instead, what I would recommend, and I don't know what you've been doing, but I would go print out my 5-step decluttering process. Go in there, and I don't know how old your daughter is either, but if she's young, you need to get her Winnie's Pile of Pillows, because that will open up this conversation, right? And that, which is my new children's book, in case you just got here. That process is, okay, let's start with the trash. What she sees as trash, because it gives her something to start with. And trash is stuff that's actually going to leave the room, like be gone forever. Things being gone forever is what needs to happen. But we go with her. Don't argue over trash. Do not be like, how do you not see that this is trash? That's not helpful. You're not building any trust that way. You keep going. You go through the process. I have a video. It did not do well. I think it came out in the evening on Christmas Day, actually. Should have just waited till the next day, but on how to declutter with kids. Go watch that, and that will teach you. Let's see. It would teach you, how to use my process with kids. Let's see. Oops, I gotta plug my computer in. I thought I had plenty of, I guess this is using a lot. All right. Besides my mess, I also have the mess by my 12, 14, and 16-year-old kids' bedrooms. Should I do the daily 5-minute pickups by myself? I keep nagging them to do it, but it doesn't happen. It's a 5-minute pickup, and it's ideally everybody, but it's whoever is able to do it. Like if, here's the thing. I just set a timer and said, we are doing a 5-minute pickup instead of you need to do a 5-minute pickup at some time, right? Like, okay, guys, make sure you do a 5-minute pickup today. That never would have worked for us. So instead it was like, okay, I'm setting the timer, a 5-minute pickup. It's horrible in the beginning. It takes time for them to believe you and to be like, oh, she's not going to give up this time, whatever. So like, it's not fun. I talk about that in organizing for the rest of us and, kind of working through that. But any 5-minute pickup is going to help. The other thing too is the 5-minute pickup helps now if everything is completely overwhelming, and it helps as you continue to make progress. So, all right. Okay, I'm going to go. I just want to remind you of a couple things. Don't forget that I train and certified decluttering coaches. Did you know that? So they are trained to lead you through my no mess process in your space. And one of the things that the certified coaches are able to do is teach a 6-week class that uses Decluttering at the Speed of Life, my book, as the textbook. Okay. So they teach this. These are live classes. There is going to be a set of 18 different coaches teaching this class, all starting at the beginning of February. They are on different dates and times because these are live classes. So you pick one coach at a time that works for you. You sign up for their class with them. I'm not the one taking money or doing the scheduling or anything, but the list is at declutteringcoaches.com/class. Go there, pick a time and a coach that works for you, and sign up for their class. And if their class is, Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, well, then you go on Zoom. I think they're all online this year. You go on Zoom and go to their class, and it's going to be live, and they're going to be teaching this curriculum that we've written. And then you're going to get to learn about, you get to have class discussion, which is such a valuable learning tool. You're going to be able to ask questions of your instructor. You're going to be able to go practice these things you're learning and then come back the next week at the same time for 6 weeks. Okay. And these classes are like 60 to 90 minutes. They are not pre-recorded videos. They are actual live classes with a live instructor who's been trained by me. So, yeah, go check that out. And don't forget my children's book too. I have a copy in my office, and I'm not in my office today, but it's the cutest thing. I'm in love with that. So aslobcomesclean.com/Winnie tells you how to order that, and it will be here in less than a month. So super excited. All right. I think that's it. Do I usually say something else at the end? I don't remember. Anyway, check out the links that are in the description, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.